Boss sent me critical conference info at 4 a.m., blamed me for not having our booth ready even though I drove an hour. My boss is notorious for never reading an email. Over the past year, she has sent me multiple emails asking questions, when the answers could be found in the email she was already responding to. This all came to a head with a conference. She asked me if I wanted to attend a conference and I responded yes. She then asked if I would register everyone for the event. I asked for details about the registration. She forwarded an email with these details, and that email also contained many questions. Knowing her, I asked her if she had responded to those questions. She replied, "What questions?" Literally scroll up and look at the email. Now, having been made aware of these questions by me, she asked me to respond to them. One question was if we wanted to host a booth at the conference, which she said yes. I responded with answers and checked it off my list. She received an email late March stating they hadn't received our registration yet and that they needed it by April 1st. She forwarded me this communication April 2nd and asked me to handle it. No, I didn't forget. The conference had a tech issue and I cleared it up. But she sent me the email to handle this after it was already late. This was the last communication I received about this conference until 4 a.m. day of the event. I logged on at the start of my workday at 8 a.m. to see 2 emails from her. 1, a forward at 4 a.m., dated over a week prior, with details for setup for the booth and how it started at 7 a.m. Mind you, the conference is an hour drive for me. At 6 a.m., another email, asking if I had everything good to go for our booth. When I logged on at 8 a.m., I replied and said due to not receiving this information until this morning, I would not have time to go back to the office and retrieve the booth materials and still arrive at the conference on time. I shut my computer and drove to the conference. When I arrived, I had a pretty nasty email from her stating she had asked me to handle the booth, so of course we would be having one and that I needed to go back to the office and get it. I replied that I was driving and now arrived at the conference, and that there was a box at the other office, 10 minutes away from the conference that she could grab on her way in. She did grab it and we had a booth. She came up to me at the conference asking what had gone wrong and I told her simply that I did not have this information until this morning and planned my workday around the information I had. She has now asked for a meeting with me tomorrow morning. I feel as though she is going to try to place blame on me here and I don't know how to respectfully tell her this is her fault. She did not provide me the info, she did not ask me to bring anything, she asked me to respond to an email which I did. I want to express my frustration in how her lack of reading an email has continuously created more work that either gets trashed because she didn't read the info and now has scrapped the project after the work was completely done, or makes me have to make last-minute stressful adjustments for information she had weeks ago and never sent. But I also can't get fired in this job economy. What do I do when she inevitably places the blame of this on me tomorrow? Edit to add, this is an incredibly small company. 20 to 25 people. We do not have an HR and there is no one above her. Update 1. To clear some things up for those claiming I lack initiative and this was on me, I have started many projects from day one that have been solely on me and my ideas. I've started committees and implemented new marketing that has been wildly successful, simply because I saw the need for it at the org. You also seem to have missed the part where I say I frequently get the go-ahead for projects, but because she didn't read the email fully, after completion of the project she scraps it. Many of my coworkers have these same issues with her. It's illogical to blame all of us when the common denominator is her. To those asking why I did not follow up, hindsight is 20/20 and yes, there was more I could do to ensure all ran smoothly, but at the end of the day, that is her job. I already caught many mistakes on this conference alone, like the fact that she didn't even read the questions to begin with. To talk about how jobs require to manage up seems like a way to blame low-level employees for the mistakes of their managers. If you don't have the ability to manage, don't be a manager. Plain and simple. The wording to me was to respond to the questions. After the 4 a.m. email, she claimed she asked me to handle it. Had this been the wording from the beginning, maybe this would have ended differently. Many of you are saying she delegated the entire conference to me and this was not the case. She asked me to do 2 things which I did. Not to mention, in the past when I have followed up to ensure she has gotten things done, she responds very irritated as if I'm implying she cannot do her job. This conference is not the typical place we would host a booth for, so after completing my task, it left my brain. It was also outside of my normal scope of work. I've had many managers who are great at their job and I love being able to take stuff off their plate and make their day easier. I cannot do that with someone who does not communicate and does not manage. To those asking why I didn't call her instead of emailing and leaving, she was in a meeting and I had to leave within 5 minutes to attend the conference on time. To those saying if she's responding to emails at 4 a.m. she must be swamped with work, so give her a break. She frequently boasts about how she works unusual hours. It is normal for me to wake up with many emails from her during that time and not be able to reach her in the afternoon. No, I am not an on-call employee. All in all, with how frequently she doesn't read emails, this was bound to happen one day, so it's frustrating that many of you are blaming me and expecting me to magically know the details of emails I never received. Now to the conversation. It went very well for what it was. I built it up in my head based on previous experiences with her. There still seemed to be some notions of her trying to blame me and saying she had handed this off to me and so she didn't look at her other emails related to it thinking I had it handled. She said her perspective was that I would be the point of contact. And I told her I didn't feel that expectation was received. I explained that I had done the things she asked and was unaware that the expectation was for me to be a point of contact and therefore did not relay that info to them and never received further communication. I said going forward it would be helpful that when I bring up the things I'm working on at our one-on-ones, that is my exhaustive list, and if there is something on there she is thinking I am handling that I did not mention, I need to be aware of the expectation to complete that project. And that this will help us be on the same page about expectations. I didn't say this, but on my end, I thought that was the entire point of a one-on-one and am wondering why she hasn't been doing that all along. Why didn't she bring up this conference at previous one-on-ones when I didn't say it was on my list? She mentioned something about how she doesn't want to micromanage and just lets everyone run with things. In my opinion, this is a cop-out to not be a manager at all. You can effectively manage without being a micromanager. I told her I don't need someone to micromanage me, I just need clear communication of what is expected of me. If you want me to be handling a project, and not just a quick task for it, I need to be told that I am in charge of the project. I don't see that as micromanaging. Overall, although the convo went better than expected, I'm still frustrated because she seems oblivious to her role in all this. To her fairness, she did ask me to come to her with things she is doing that upset me, but I genuinely don't know how to respectfully tell me boss to just read emails because she constantly misses details. And, in a previous experience, when told to come to superiors with issues, I did, and they let me go. It wasn't a job, but for the purposes of this, it works. So I don't exactly feel confident telling her things she's doing wrong. Immediately after my meeting, my coworker told me about issues she was having with her because of the inability to slow down and read an email. It takes us so much more time to go back and forth in communication than if she were to just read it the first time. I would have felt a lot better at the end if she had owned up to how she didn't properly communicate with me, because I still feel like she blames me for this on her end. Hopefully things will get better moving forward, because this is really the only negative thing about my job. The pay, flexibility, schedule, and healthcare are all fabulous, and I don't want to lose that finding a new job, so I've been toughing it out. I'm trying to have a positive outlook, but these frustrations have been building for so long I'm having a hard time being optimistic. We basically just settled on better in-person communication at our one-on-ones. Like I said, I'd why she wasn't telling me things she expected that I didn't mention were what I was working on, but no, she's only ever in the office for like 2 hours a week on Mondays. And I usually work from home on Mondays and we meet virtually. Now she's asked I come in Mondays, which sucks, but if it makes me less frustrated with her then cool. You guys, strap in, because the most ridiculous, Office Space-esque saga unfolded since my last update. I don't even know where to begin, except to say, you know when a sitcom deliberately introduces incompetence to drive the plot? That, but with actual stakes, reputation on the line, and somehow, cake pops. First, the follow-up Monday in Office scheme kicked off, with the whole team, all 5 of us, counting our part-time marketing intern on assignment in Europe, i.e., living on Instagram, shuffling awkwardly into our windowless conference room. My boss breezed in 10 minutes late wearing jazzy flamingo pattern flats, clutching both a tablet and a phone, neither of which she appeared to know how to unlock. She announced she was making a commitment to organizational clarity and that we'd start using a new project management tool. Cheers all around, until she revealed that this tool was our Outlook calendars. Not Teams. Not Slack. Not Asana or Trello or anything intuitively collaborative, but her vision of shared color codes and very detailed rules about subject lines. She then distributed a 19-slide deck, printed out, stapled crookedly, explaining her personal taxonomy for calendar invites. I wish I were exaggerating. Slide 3 explained the meanings of Magenta, urgent. Only for Magenta tasks. By slide 7 we had moved on to a chart distinguishing CC versus to, everyone forced to nod stoically as if we'd never heard of email etiquette or the basic existence of the reply all button. Now, here's where it gets wild. As part of this clarity initiative, she retroactively started forwarding weeks-old threads for us to close the communication loop. Some of these threads were entirely unrelated to our work, like actual messages from her gym. At one point she used "please bring yoga mats if possible" as a feedback example. Multiple coworkers privately messaged me things like, is she trolling us? How do I express email existential dread? And most disturbingly, has she always CC'd her dog's vet on replies? Then, the conference mess turned up again like a zombie. On Wednesday, I was asked to join a call with a conference organizer, who politely referred to our unique communication style. Turns out, my boss never stopped replying to that original registration thread. She instead started her own entirely new email chain after mine, forwarded it to her personal Gmail, then sent questions from that chain. Somehow, messages meant for our actual point of contact went instead to a totally unrelated company in Texas. I found out because the other company, a dental supply business, actually set up a booth at our conference out of sheer confusion. Yes, for 2 days, they displayed toothbrushes and promotional floss at a tech event, because the people in charge kept sending us information and seemed very trusting. I do not know how to process this. My boss? Unfazed. She thought this was a prime example of innovation through networking. No, they will not partner with us, but I did receive a sample pack of cinnamon-flavored floss. My own work life has become a labyrinth of unnecessary color codes and very polite re-explanations. My emails to her now begin with "For clarity, this is a response to your message sent at, exact timestamp, regarding, subject, let me know if I've missed anything. See my summary below for main points." It's exhausting, but also, somehow, farcical enough that I laugh about it with my coworkers. Our office group chat is just memes now, a running league table of her weirdest CCs. Third place, the vet. First place, the photocopy repair guy. Possibly related, definitely not, she has now floated the phrase shadow threads. Evidently, shadow threads are any project communications that aren't in her Magenta flagged folder. She is convinced these exist as a vague conspiracy, and asked if I could forward her all my shadow thread correspondence from the past 6 months. Dear friends, do not have any shadow threads. My work is on our shared drive, but in a glorious act of collective rebellion, the team staged a shadow thread summit at lunch, complete with fake PowerPoint slides and a director's chair left empty for the CEO of email. The HR situation? Still non-existent unless you count the jar of jelly beans labeled HR incentives on the kitchen counter. On the upside, my boss now insists on a new Magenta Monday where everyone brings in purple-colored snacks and reviews calendar invites together. Progress? Oh, and my coworker, same one as last update, actually did try to gently mention the need to reply to full email threads. My boss replied, in writing, "I feel most comfortable responding to the spirit of a message, not the letter." That is now our office mantra, printed and taped above the printer. Ironically, after someone misread the original email and printed it in size 72 font by mistake. In conclusion, no one has been fired. My boss is convinced email can be tamed by color codes and feeling the workflow. We continue, undaunted, into an absurdist office utopia where the real project is learning to laugh, together, and sometimes at ourselves, and sometimes, helplessly, at dental supply folks lost at a tech conference. Next week is Magenta Monday number 2, and, yes, I will be bringing grape cake pops. If anyone sees an email from my boss to the conference organizers, please, for the love of color coding, do not reply, all. Update 2, if Kafka was a Microsoft Outlook superuser, alright, fellow observers of chaos, buckle in. Magenta Monday number 2 did not disappoint. Neither did the cake pops, which, by the way, my boss referred to as synergistic purple spheres. You'd think this would be the apex of the weirdness, but, no, things have escalated. In ways none of us could have predicted. So, after our first glorious Magenta Monday, my boss, who now refers to herself as the Outlook overlord, decided our company needed a Magenta audit, her words, not mine. We must illuminate our shadow processes, she declared, snapping a picture of the group on her phone so she could remember this day of transformation. She later accidentally sent that picture company-wide via calendar invite, with the subject, Magenta, Unleash Potential. See attached vision. Everyone now has a Lores JPEG of us mid-caffeine crash as their calendar thumbnail. What did the audit mean? For 3 entire workdays, we all had to crosswalk every outstanding project or major task from the past 12 months. This meant, listing who was involved, which color codes were used, retroactively, what calendar invites were sent, and, best of all, summarizing the emotional outcome of each project in a single sentence. Serious, but also fun. She enthused. My coworker, who led a marketing push in January, simply submitted, outcome, a little too stressy, could use more snacks. Somehow, this turned into an org-wide feedback session, because people started just writing "I'm tired" and "purple cake pops," highlight of the quarter as emotional outcomes. My boss did not comment, save to let us know these responses demonstrated an emotional truthfulness that would inform the next visioning session. Magenta Monday would have been a surreal highlight, but then, Tuesday, 2:13 p.m., the time a single recurring calendar invite transformed my understanding of reality. The invite? Titled, Forward Focus, Mandatory. Magenta, obviously. The catch, none of us had it on our calendars, except for the part-time intern, zooming in from a French cafe, in full beret. My boss claimed she'd sent it company-wide last Friday, and she'd attached an operations packet with key discussion points. I search everywhere, nothing in my inbox. Colleagues in other departments, nothing. The intern calmly screen shares. The packet is a photo of my boss's handwritten to-do list, blurry, with the words email equals art underlined 7 times. We try to explain none of us got the packet or invite. She launches into a live demonstration of how to recall emails in Outlook, which prompts several blank emails to be instantly recalled from our inboxes, each with the subject test Plaza ignore. She's now convinced the company server is dispersing key communications into informational wormholes. That is an actual quote. This might seem like the point in the story where everything settles, but no. No, friends. Spurred by her email anxiety, the boss arranges an internal Outlook symposium for the following Thursday morning. We're strongly encouraged to come in person and bring a PowerPoint slide displaying your most creative use of a calendar reminder. Mandatory attendance, optional theme attire, anything with magenta tones or watercolor email icons. The intern, still dialing in from Europe, shared a slide of a croissant next to her laptop. One coworker did a send-up of You've Got Mail featuring Tom Hanks photoshopped with magenta hair, Sending a recurring invite for Pi Day. I, not wanting to risk insubordination, just used Magenta Comic Sans reading. I receive your messages. My boss then unexpectedly revealed a new innovation. For any project, the person handling it is now required to write up a one-pager of intent and send it to a newly created distro group, and to her personal Gmail, for traceability. Why Gmail? It's my emotional backup folder, she said. But wait. On Friday, a new bombshell. I get copied on a frantic magenta-coded thread with the subject line, stakeholder surprise? Turns out, in the act of forwarding old conference emails, out of panic, my boss, not for the first time, had CC'd an entire list of outside email addresses by mistake. Among them, someone from a city council in a neighboring state, a realtor in Boise, Chris, bicycle enthusiast, the original dental supply folks. Again within hours, I get a polite but confused reply from the city council rep. Can you clarify if this relates to our annual park cleanup? The realtor thinks we want a quote for office space. Chris, the bike guy, wants to know if he can get a free booth at our next expo. My boss forwards all these, Magenta priority, to me. Can you track these stakeholder relationships moving forward? Please loop in if we can synergize. I have still never met Chris. If Chris is reading this, happy to set up a shadow thread. 1. We now have Magenta snack guidelines. No food at meetings unless it's purple, pink, or packaged in a magenta bag. 2. Shadow threads are now being mapped on the breakroom whiteboard using lines, arrows, and post-its. I lost a full hour this week drafting the emotional context for the supply closet's restocking schedule. 3. My boss started announcing her arrival with Magenta presence. Unfortunately, she does that whether entering the room, a Zoom call, or simply opening Slack. 4. On Magenta Mondays, she insists nobody send blue-coded emails, because blue is the color of confusion and chaos. My coworkers, far from discouraged, have fully leaned into the absurdity. There is now a shadow committee, unofficial, devoted solely to writing and sharing the company's real task lists, on sticky notes, color-coded, hidden inside the microwave. I have gained an encyclopedic knowledge of Outlook's calendar features and can now blindfold type a perfect one-pager of intent. We have not solved the original communication issue, but at least now, there's an official Magenta misfire log maintained by the intern. It includes a mishap of the month entry, this month, awarded to the time our budget report went to the city council, with pie emoji subject line. Next week, apparently we are beta testing a new system for communication channel clarity, a series of nested calendar invites, each requiring you to RSVP emotionally as well as professionally. If you never hear from me again, assume I was lost in a magenta-coded wormhole, but at least I'll be in good, purple snacked, company. Update 3, the Magentaverse expands, and so do the wormholes. Hello, denizens of the shadow thread, ready yourselves, because what I thought was the far side of office absurdity has proven, Magenta mirage-like, unreachable, always receding, forever unveiling fresh and baffling spectacle. The most recent fortnight has been a technicolor cyclone. And, dear reader, our saga now includes an ill-fated synergy retreat, AI gone rogue, and an impromptu seminar led by a local librarian. I will try to be faithful to reality, though reality here increasingly resembles a discarded Parks and Rec script. Onward, Magenta Monday number 3, the mood board incident. It began innocently enough. Our boss, ever in pursuit of authentic innovation, announced we'd be opening the week with a physical visioning mood board. Each team member was directed to bring an object, article, or snack that captured our email journey. Objects included post-it mosaics, a disemboweled mouse, the computer kind, a single grape airhead, and, my favorite, a sealed manila envelope labeled open at your own risk, contains emotions. My boss, resplendent in a fuchsia scarf and Crocs, contributed a hand-drawn pie chart linking colors to correspondences. Magenta equals urgency. Blue equals sadness. Yellow equals unopened spam. Our accounting lead, the company's only person who actively resists color codes, submitted a literal blank sheet of paper and explained, this is the ideal volume of agenda emails. Emotional outcome, tense, but with scattered giggles. Then my boss read aloud a phrase from a Zappos blog, dream in color, act with intention, copy all stakeholders, that she wanted to immortalize in vinyl letters for our welcome wall. The intern, ever the agent of chaos, actually custom ordered the phrase but left off a single L, making it just copy all stakeholders, which is now office canon. The Great Synergy Retreat. The Outlook Labyrinth. Yes, friends, our boss announced, in another Magenta missive, that we would be retreating to advance. The instructions: meet at her house, 9 a.m., bring laptops, wear a shade of purple, and prepare for emotional RSVP icebreakers. Highlights: instead of coffee and donuts, she offered beet smoothies and lavender cupcakes. It's purple, it's on brand. Opening exercise: stand on the spot that best represents your email. Confidence. Center of the room equals I'm one with Outlook. Wall adjacent equals I search my sent folder in terror. Team mural: each person wrote one unsung inbox emotion on the wall, with expo markers. Thankfully, blind vote on the future of color codes. Results were aggressively inconclusive: 2 for expansion, 5 for total abolition, 4 abstained, one voted for rainbow gradients only. But the peak, she unveiled the Magenta Mentor, an AI chatbot she purchased from a weird online ad. The bot's purpose: triage emails and flag emotional mismatches in tone. She set it to high empathy mode. First test, she fed it an email about supply closet shelving. The bot responded, urgency detected. Suggest recipient take 3 deep breaths. Within 10 minutes, it began copying everyone on everything, erroneously labeling nearly every internal reply as melancholy. Recommend gratitude GIF. This has resulted in at least 7 Minions memes flooding our calendars daily. Shadow threads, now with external engagements on Tuesday. The bowl of purple jelly beans, our HR, was replaced by a magenta Tupperware with ask me about our communication protocols. In the break room. To everyone's shock, mid-morning, a librarian from down the street appeared. She'd received an invitation, apparently BCC'd into a shadow thread about community knowledge exchange, emotional RSVP. Yes, our boss, unbothered, seized the opportunity to arrange a lunchtime email literacy Q&A with this poor librarian, who gave a crash course in using search folders and why not every message needs a reply all. Half the team took notes. The other half asked whether calendar reminders could have soothing chimes. Calendar chaos escalates after lunch that same day. Our boss conducted, unannounced, an all-staff audit of Magenta adherence. She distributed Magenta stickers, stars, hearts, inexplicably some cats, for visibility of workflow. You received a sticker only if your current task, calendar entry, or screensaver included at least one Magenta element. The IT lead, a neutral gray loyalist, was observed feverishly changing his background before inspection. The intern, now back from Europe but operating nocturnally on Paris time, created digital Magenta borders around all her Google Docs. Outcome: emotional exhaustion but new office record for Magenta saturation. Friday, outside forces invade the Magentaverse. Our dental supplies friends, now apparently friends for life, randomly mailed us a mega box of experimental Magenta Mint toothbrushes with a thank you note to our most enthusiastic correspondents. Floss on. In turn, my boss BCC'd them into an email to the Shadow Committee regarding potential cross-sector opportunities. The dental rep replied, with gentle confusion, "We're not sure what a Shadow Committee is, but we're flattered." To cap it all, our realtor pen pal left a voicemail, "Just checking, do you actually need Boise office space, or is this code for something?" My boss gave me a sticky note, "Track this stakeholder," and set a calendar reminder entitled Real Estate Emotional Closure. Magenta priority, obviously. The Outlook overlord's new edict this morning: we received the ultimate decree. Every message is to start with 3 headers. 1. Context statement, in response to, subject thread, dated, dd/m. 2. Emotional intention, tone, gratitude/confusion/clarity quest/etc. 3. Immediate ask, please, action, respond by, date, apply Magenta if urgent. The intern, who is a design student at heart, turned these headers into a fillable PDF template. We now pass important messages through a mad libs of administrative preambles. Emotional intention, slightly desperate, but hopeful. Oh, and Magenta misfire of the week? Our performance review schedules, Magenta, Natch, sent to the dentist office again, who replied with, "Your canines look strong," a neighborhood knitting club, and Chris the bicycle enthusiast, who sent a photo of his purple mountain bike, because on Mondays, we wear Magenta. He has been named our honorary shadow stakeholder. Conclusion: has anything really changed? Not exactly. Communication black holes persist, color codes multiply, and our group chat lives on as a bastion of meme-based sanity. The head librarian asked us, very seriously, to please not add her to further calendar invites, but allowed we could check in if you ever decide on a single, unified color. Next up on the calendar? Visionary Clarity Open House, only Magenta foods permitted, Outlook escape room, find the lost invite, claim a grape soda, company therapy dog visit, hoping for Magenta bows on ears. Through it all, the original confusion survives. But now, when someone asks, did you see that email? The answer is simple: if it was Magenta, probably. If not, it's in a wormhole with Chris and the Boise realtor.